Hey everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. Sunday today, it's actually quite a lovely day here and my husband and I are going out for lunch when I'm finished. It was his birthday yesterday, so this is a bit of a late celebration of his birthday. But it's kind of a nice day, feeling very fall-like. So I decided to pull out the Gathering Together suite that is an online exclusive from Stampin' Up! I love this suite. I love the colors. I love fall colors. Fall isn't really my favorite time of the year, but I have to say I do love fall colors. I'm actually wearing beige today. But yeah, I seem to gravitate to the neutral colors and the oranges. So anyway, we're going to play with this today and make a fall card. So if you are watching me, hey Bonnie, welcome. If you're watching, let me know where you're watching from. Love to hear what you've been working on. And that's, yeah, we'll get started making this card. I'm just going to make sure that I have refreshed my Facebook stream because sometimes I don't see the comments and I apologize for that. All right, switch over. So this is the Gathering Moments bundle. It's part of the Gathering Together suite. As I said, it's an online exclusive. So if you head over to my online store, you'll find this under online exclusives. It comes with this bundle. Lots of great sentiments in this bundle. We're using the many thanks today, but look at this one. Your friendship means the world to me. What a lovely sentiment. And then these images. So this is a distinctive stamp, and so you get some really lovely coloring when you stamp these. And I'm going to use sponge daubers to add some extra color to the ink that I'm stamping with. Also comes with the dies, so you can cut out these images and then look at these great two really big leaf die cuts that you have. And if you wonder, I haven't played with this yet, but there are little dots on these, and you can actually sew through the dots using the early espresso and old olive linen thread, or linen thread, any thread that is thin enough to get through. So you can sew through these holes and get a really cool effect with the veining. Okay, so that's the bundle. Put that aside. Now the designer series paper is absolutely stunning. It's specialty paper, and I don't know if you can see the gold. There you go, a little bit of the gold. So that's one. And then this is old olive striped, again got some gold in it, some plaid in basic beige and crushed curry, again plaid in crushed curry, Cajun Craze early espresso, and then this is the one we're using today. So similar, it's actually the leaves with the gold in it but a basic beige background, and then leaves without the crushed curry, basic beige leaves with a white background. And then on the back, I've used this one before a lot, Cajun Craze. This one coordinates. I don't have the embossing folder that comes with this suite, but this actually coordinates with that. Just some early espresso wood grain, early espresso with little tiny circles. Again, really subtle background with the gold and basic beige, and then another basic beige. It's just such pretty paper. Okay, so let's bring in the supplies. Oh, what else is in the suite? Sorry. The other thing that's in the suite is this Cajun Craze and gold dots. So you just kind of got a little bit of gold in them. Okay, so got my supplies. Bring in my trimmer. So I'm using basic beige, and I've got a piece that is 4 1/4 by 11. So we're going to score it at 5 1/2. And use your bone folder to fold into the mountain or the raised line and give it a good burnish. Okay, so then I've got a piece of Cajun Craze that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. A piece of the designer series paper. I love this, it's so pretty. 3 3/4 by 5. A piece of Cajun Craze, and what did I cut this one? I think this is 3 by 4. And then a piece that is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. I've got a piece to stamp on for my leaves and then a piece for the inside of the card. So let's do some stamping first. And then it's pretty easy to put the card together. Bring in some grid paper so I don't get ink all over. Actually, I want to stamp my top of my... Okay. So I'm going to stamp using Cajun Craze. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Now I just want to test out and make sure. I always, with rubber stamps, I want to make sure I'm stamping it straight. So I always test it out on my grid paper. Oh, not too bad. If I hadn't got it too straight, I would have turned it over. All right, so I'm going to start with my crushed curry. And I'm going to ink this up. And then I've got some sponge daubers here. So I'm going to take, on this one, I'm going to take some Cajun Craze. And I'm just going to go kind of around the edge and a little bit up in the middle. And then we'll just take and stamp that. So there we go. You can see that I got the Cajun Craze and crushed curry. And I managed to get ink on my finger. Of course I did. All right, so this is Old Olive. Oopsie, we're going to stamp that leaf in Old Olive. And then I'm going to take Cajun Craze on this one as well. This is quite dark. And so I just want to take and stamp. So we've got a little bit of green going up through that one. And what haven't we used? Okay, so we're going to stamp this one in Old Olive as well. And we'll take a little bit of crushed curry, just tapping. And we'll stamp that like that. Okay, so the only other color that I need, close these up before I get more ink on my fingers. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the little acorn. And it's kind of light, but that's okay. There we go. Just to put something. So now I've got all of these stamped with some extra color, with the exception of the acorn that I've just left in early espresso. So I need... So there are the dies for all of these leaves. And grab a little bit of Post-it note tape and put, just so they don't shuffle or shift as I'm running them through. Come on, can't get my finger under it. So I don't know what it's like where you are, but it's definitely feeling fall-like here. I was in Alberta last week, and the leaves are definitely turning there. Here, I think they are too, but we have so much green with the forests, the evergreens that don't ever turn, that you sometimes don't notice the fall quite so much here, which is really, I love the fall colors and the leaves turning. Definitely some parts of Canada, you notice it way more than in others. All right, shifted that. That's because I glued it onto the grid paper, which wasn't what I wanted to do, and then wouldn't move. Let's do this. Okay, there. Now, so this is going to fit nicely through my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss. So we'll just take it like that and run it through. And set this aside. I love adding the extra color. It's so easy to do with sponge daubers. You can do your use your blending brushes as well, but sometimes you get just a little bit more control if you use your sponge daubers to apply extra ink color to your images. All right, let's take our dies and put them back over here so I don't lose them. And now we can bring the rest of the card in. Okay, so I'm just going to take and use liquid glue to adhere this piece down. And then we'll use some dimensionals to pop it up on, or pop the images up on here. Like I said, once you've got the stamping done on this card, it's pretty simple to put it together. Look at these cute little mushrooms in this paper. There is a mushroom stamp as well. I could have used that. All right, make sure that's not upside down. I've been known to do that. There we go. Now you can either adhere that flat or you can pop it up. So I'm just gonna take and put some embellishments. Or embellishments, what am I thinking? Dimensionals on here. Like that. Now, before I put my images on, I'm going to take some of the old olive, and I'm just going to wrap it around some fingers. I don't want it to be huge. Excuse me. A tickle. All right, so I've wrapped it around, and I'm just going to hold that, pinch it in the middle. And now I don't have, usually I use a little bit of Stampin' Seal, but I need to refill my Stampin' Seal, so I'm just going to take and put just a little bit of tear-in tape down. And this is just going to hold my linen thread until I get the leaves adhered on. Okay, so now I can take and use dimensionals. So I'll put them on the leaves first. So I'm going to put my big leaf on, kind of like that. And then we'll do a little bit of tucking. And you can fuss with your linen thread if you don't want it all together. You can kind of spread them out. Once you've got it on there, you can trim off those tails that are sticking out if those bother you, like they're bothering me. There we go. Oopsie. Usually I try and kind of tuck them underneath. All right, one last one. Like that. And then of course we have to put our acorn on. Kind of like that. All right, so we've got our little kind of display at the bottom. And then I'm going to put, these are those Cajun Craze and Gold dots. So let's use some of those. Always have to put embellishments on there in 3 sizes. And then the last thing is a piece of, well, I know I cut a piece of Designer Series paper. So let's just kind of do a bit of a scavenger hunt. It's not there. Oh, here it is. I found it. You never know where it might end up on my desk. So this is a little piece of the same Designer Series paper that I have on the front. This is for the inside. I'm not putting a layer on the inside. When the card base is light, like this basic white beige or very vanilla or basic white, I don't put an extra piece of cardstock on the inside, but I always do decorate. So you could do some stamping in here, or I like to just take a scrap of my designer series paper because I have so much of it that I just take and put on the inside of the card. So there you go. That is a fall card using the Gathering Moments bundle, or Gathering Together Suite. Perfect. So if you're watching, if you live in Canada, of course you know that Thanksgiving is coming up. We always celebrate Thanksgiving on the second Monday of October, so we're earlier than Thanksgiving in the United States. And so we have Thanksgiving coming up, not very far off, a couple of weeks. So this is a perfect Thanksgiving card. Or just because you want to send some thanks during this fall season. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me today. Hope you have a great day. I will be back live on a Tuesday night at 6:30 with a sketch for you. So